Planet Kharvox. They called it the War World. An entire planet dedicated to endless battle. A cosmic proving ground where alien empires sent their most formidable soldiers to die with honor. It was a place of legend, a meat grinder of civilizations, and a planet where no human had ever managed to survive for more than a single hour. Until one day, a man landed there all by himself. His name was Marrow. He was a Deathworlder. A Marine forged in the crucible of Earth. A planet so dangerous that its inhabitants were considered anomalies by the rest of the galaxy. Rex's arrival wasn't planned. It was a mistake. A catastrophic failure in hyperspace navigation that spat his drop pod out into the blood-red skies of Kharvox. There was no backup, no extraction team inbound. It was just him, his combat suit shattered and sparking, and an entire planet united by one single, burning desire: to see him dead. Before he could even get his bearings, the very ground beneath his boots began to tremble. A low, ominous hum grew into a deafening roar as thousands upon thousands of alien war drones lifted from the scarred surface. These weren't simple machines. They were massive, biomechanical horrors with razor-sharp, bladed arms, thick armored skulls, and glowing red sensor eyes that all locked onto the lone human figure in their midst. The sky, already a bruised purple, turned black as swarms of missiles blotted out the stars, their trails painting fiery lines of impending death. Any other soldier, any other species, would have run. They would have sought cover, prayed for a quick end, or simply dissolved into panic. But Marrow didn't run. He calmly reached up, the servos in his suit groaning in protest, and slammed his cracked helmet shut. A quiet whisper, lost in the cacophony of war, escaped his lips. Earth trained me for hell. This is just louder. And then the storm hit. The first wave of drones and missiles crashed down with the force of a planetary collision. Explosions blossomed around him, turning the battlefield into a flickering hellscape of fire and shrapnel. Rex moved like a phantom. He rolled through the concussive blasts, his instincts screaming warnings a split second before impact. As a drone fell, cleaved in two by a stray missile, Rex didn't hesitate. He lunged forward, grabbing the still-glowing plasma blade from the wreckage. With the alien weapon humming in his hand, he carved a path of pure destruction straight through the front line of drones. Sparks flew like fireworks from a nightmare. Metal shrieked in protest as it was torn asunder. The guttural, electronic screams of dying drones filled the air as their bodies dropped to the ground, twitching and smoking. Rex was a blur of motion, a cyclone of violence. He wasn't just surviving, he was hunting. He moved with a brutal efficiency that the aliens, for all their love of war, had never witnessed. They fought for glory, for honor, for their empires. Rex fought for the next breath, and that made him infinitely more dangerous. His relentless assault carved a clearing in the sea of enemies, a temporary circle of silence in the heart of the storm, and into that circle stepped new challengers. The warlords had arrived, three of towering alien generals, each standing a monstrous 10 feet tall. Their armor was ancient and ornate, etched with the victories of 1,000 campaigns. In their massive hands, they dragged Gravity Hammer's weapons so terrifying they could crush tanks, not with brute force, but by bending the very fabric of space itself. They regarded Rex not as a threat, but as an insect to be swatted. The first warlord swung its hammer in a lazy arc. It didn't even aim for Rex, but for the ground near him. The impact was silent, but devastating. The space around the point of impact warped, and the ground shattered, launching Rex into the air like a ragdoll. Chunks of rock and earth flew past him, but this was their mistake. They thought him helpless, airborne, and vulnerable. As he tumbled through the air, Rex activated the emergency thrusters in his broken suit. They sputtered to life, giving him just enough control to twist his body midair. He locked on to the first general, a cold calculation in his eyes. He pulled a magnetic grenade from his belt and fired it with perfect accuracy. The small device sailed through the chaos and clanked squarely onto the general's chest plate. The blast wasn't fire and fury. It was a sickening implosion. The grenade warped gravity in a hyper-localized field. The giant warlord, a creature of immense power and pride, folded in on itself like a piece of crushed paper, its armor, bones, and organs collapsing into a single, dense point before vanishing. A wave of shock rippled through the alien armies. The two remaining generals let out a synchronized roar of pure rage and charged together, their gravity hammers raised high. They weren't going to make the same mistake twice. Rex knew his suit was failing. His energy reserves were critical. He made a decision born of pure Deathworlder. Desperation. He ripped off the shattered, sparking pauldron from his suit, exposing the suit's miniature reactor core. It glowed with unstable energy. With a primal yell, he used the core as a manual bomb, clutching it in his gauntlet. He didn't throw it. He rode it. He charged forward, meeting the second general's advance head-on, and slammed the volatile core directly into its chest. He used the warlord's own momentum to drive them both straight into the dirt. A brilliant, blinding nuclear flash lit the entire sky, silencing the sounds of battle for a single, deafening second. When the light faded, a massive crater smoked where the second general had stood. Only one warlord remained, but it wasn't retreating. It wasn't charging. It was staring at Rex with a new kind of emotion in its alien eyes. Fear mixed with utter disbelief. It had seen enough. This human was an aberration, a force of nature that defied the known rules of combat. And so, it did the unthinkable. It activated the planet's final solution, the planetary war engine. This was Kharvox's reset button, an ancient machine of terrifying power, designed to cleanse the planet by erasing all life on its surface. It was a weapon of last resort, an admission of total failure. The sky above cracked like glass. Red lightning, thick as starship hulls, began to spiral into the churning clouds. The ground itself began to split open as vast chasms tore through the battlefield. The end of the world had begun. In the middle of this planetary chaos, a figure stood up, bleeding from a dozen wounds, bruised and battered. His suit was little more than scrap metal, clinging to his frame. But he was smiling. Rex Marrow smiled as the world died around him. He began to walk, not away from the destruction, but towards it. He walked toward the central core tower of the war engine, the heart of the apocalypse. The remaining alien armies, in a final, desperate frenzy, threw everything they had at him. Bullets, plasma bolts, gravity blasts, laser beams. A tidal wave of destruction converged on the lone human. But he just kept walking. He walked through the explosions, through the energy fields, through the hails of projectiles. He wasn't a man anymore. He was a storm given human form, an unstoppable force of sheer will. He reached the core tower and found the control interface. It was a complex array of holographic symbols, and alien-shaped consoles, designed for alien hands, alien minds, and alien fear. It was designed to be intimidating, to be incomprehensible to anyone but its creators. Rex didn't try to understand it. He didn't try to hack it. He pulled back his bloody, metal-clad fists and slammed it directly into the console. The machine, a planet killer of unimaginable complexity, froze. The screaming red lightning in the sky vanished. The ground stopped shaking. The entire mechanism, with a final groan of dying power, shut down. And then, for the first time in millennia, there was silence on Kharvox. Across the planet, every alien, every drone, every creature of war stopped moving. They looked at their silent weapons, at the quiet sky, at the still earth, their world, their perfect battlefield. Their entire purpose for existence had been ended, not by a rival empire, not by a celestial cataclysm, but by one single, stubborn human who refused to die. Weeks later, when Earth finally managed to pinpoint the location of the hyperspace anomaly and sent a scout ship to Kharvox, they found something impossible. They found a planet silent and still, littered with the wreckage of 1,000 armies.